All right. Good evening and happy Friday. This is Dr.Marrika, and we are here for one of our very first segments for the Clinician's Corner. I have an amazing guest with me on this evening. So I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome to Kenyatta Davis, who is the creator of Minding Your Mental. She's dedicated to breaking the stigma surrounding mental health. Through her work, she advocates for awareness, education, and honest dialogue while fostering safe spaces where people feel supported and understood. So, without further ado, thank you so much, Kenyatta, for being a part and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you. So, we are at the tail end of the month of September. And as it relates to the space of mental health, September is Suicide Prevention Month. And so, our conversation will be surrounded around that. And so, my very first question is to start, can you share with us what Minding Your Mental is all about and what is your mission and your vision?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Minding Your Mental is all about bringing awareness to mental health disparities, especially among African American women. As an African American woman, I know that I've experienced things personally, and I often, through my experience, realize a lot of us aren't really heard or listened to, or it's not taken as serious. So, it kind of ignited a fire over the years. And so, just using my platform, my voice, my resources to bring awareness to the mental health stigmas surrounding that, especially when it comes to suicide prevention, as we'll be talking about tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Well,
You spoke to just the need that we have to have these safe spaces and to birth this vision, this initiative out of a place of the need for the community really needing those supports out there. So I want to say that I commend you. Thank you so much for just really walking in your purpose because it's so needed and necessary in this hour, especially right now. I mean, I think that since we, came out of the pandemic,
yeah,
there was just such an increase of individuals really saying, you know what, let me go and get some help, let me get some supports, let me go and speak to someone about the things that I've been dealing with, some things that I have maybe pushed to the burner, but now I need to deal with these things because with this having to shelter at home, not being able to I guess have some type of like distractions in a way of being able to go out and do different things and not deal with our stuff.
yeah.
So I definitely hear you on, that need there. Were you about to say something?
No, I'm just agreeing to everything you're saying.
Okay. Okay, so the next question is what inspired your launch for this initiative and why is it personally important for you?
What inspired the launch was my experience.
Mm,
My personal experience. And with that, it was a frustration of like knowing that I'm not alone. But
yeah.
why are people talking about these things? Why are they, it's kind of pacified in a way where it's diminished, what you're experiencing, what you're going through, because, a lot of things are generational, just a lot of things were not talked about, but it really was a frustration, just based on my own experiences. And even as I've spoken to other women or have had women reach out to me, thanking me for, when it comes to certain things, it lets me know that I'm not alone. Like, okay, I'm not the only one that's experienced this. So why aren't we doing more as a community to help bring resources when it comes to certain, issues and stigma? Why aren't we creating safe spaces so that these conversations can be had? Because no one's talking about it. A lot of people can be shamed into silence. And I was shamed into silence,
Mm,
growing up. Not anymore. So it's that frustration there where we don't have to be shamed into silence, because a lot of people suffer in silence when they shouldn't have to.
hmm. So you're gonna make me take my glasses off on that one. So shamed into silence.
Hmm.
That is like a mic drop moment. When I think about that, I think about the saying that many, I would say minorities probably have grew up hearing was said or done in this house stays in this house and kind of just sweeping things under the rug and people knowing that certain traumatic situations happen, but is
Yeah.
not really highlighted or addressed. It's like, oh, just keep going, and a person is just stuck there with all of these emotions, all of these thoughts, and it's like, yeah, kind of like a pull your boots up by the straps, or whatever the saying goes, like doing that kind of thing. Like, yeah, let's just go casually about our lives as if nothing has happened. And that actually causes individuals to start to suppress their emotions, and
Yes.
then all of a sudden life starts happening again, maybe another unfortunate traumatic experience happened. Now you're talking about things stacking up on top, and then all of a sudden someone finds himself, like, boom, all of that just starts to come out
Yeah.
unexpectedly. Those emotions start to erupt
Hmm.
because life has gotten so hot and intense around it. And now it's like, what do you do now? Because, yeah,
Yeah.
that six, what did you say, the silencing, how did you say it?
Shamed into silence. So it makes
Yes.
people, you feel ashamed. Like if you keep bringing something up, and a lot of times people may not know how to articulate what they're going through, and that's okay. But you're being
Hmm.
told it's not that serious. It's all in your head.
Yeah.
Your grandmother did it. Your mother did it. You'll be fine. You're there. That person is diminishing your experience. And as you were speaking, it just came to my mind, like to my memory, when it comes to like a strong black woman syndrome. So
Mm.
like it dehumanizes us. We struggle. Everyone struggles. Why do our struggles have to be stigmatized? You know. So
Wow, that's really, really good. And like you said, more specifically, where you're talking about um the black and brown community,
yes.
African American women who are really going through it. They're really experiencing some very traumatic things, and they're not given the amount of attention that they should be, as their counterparts may be receiving that type of attention. And what's worse than experiencing something very traumatic and then almost being shunned or overlooked?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lack of empathy
Mm-hmm.
that black and brown women receive, for sure, when it comes to the same things that other individuals and other groups do, and it's unfortunate. So that is what minding your mental is like all of those things, and bringing awareness. We are here. It's not about staying in that space but overcoming. So making sure that we overcome that, because just because you are in a certain space or predicament, or you're dealing with mental health things, that doesn't define who you are as an individual.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't define you. So my next question is, and this is the next few questions are going to be heavily around suicide prevention.
Okay.
So September is Suicide Prevention Month. What message do you believe people most need to hear during this time?
Yeah, I think what people need to hear for those individuals, so there's kind of like two parts, right? So you always hear like, oh, just show up for people.
Yeah.
That is true. Just show up. Um, I would say to be present,
Break that down.
because being present is I can see this person. I can feel them. I can communicate. If I reach out, they will respond. If I have gone silent, they're going to reach out and look for me or
Mm-hmm.
call me. So being present in individuals' lives can definitely, help more than any word can, because a lot of times people may not know what to say, you know, um, and they may not know what to do, but you can be present, physically present, emotionally present, whether that's checking in daily or however that looks like. It's not to necessarily put all that burden on one person, because we can only do so much. But if a person has a loved one or individual in their life that they may have some concerns about, just being present. And I would just stress, even outside of a text, because sometimes texts can be impersonal, but if that's all an individual can do, then that's all that they can do. But really being present. And I will also say, too, is to, I really want to encourage people to not stigmatize this conversation. Even
Mm-hmm.
as a Christian, I have to, it's like it's not talked about as much. We know people deal with things, and uh, I get kind of passionate when it comes to this, but
Yeah.
it's like, let's not stigmatize these conversations. People need help, people need support, and if someone is coming to you with their concerns or how they're feeling, um, don't beat them over the head. Even if you don't know how to help, just be a listening ear. And it's okay to say, I don't know how to help you, but I love you and I care for you and I'm here for you, and we're gonna work figure this out together.
Yeah. I remember calling someone. They were not dealing with SI, but they were just in a very low space. And I remember calling, I just said, you know what, even if you don't have words, we can just be on the phone together,
Mm,
whether that's regular phone or like a FaceTime or what have you.
yeah.
And I can't get there physically, but I'm here.
Yes. And that means so much. I know we all are on social media,
Yeah.
um, and I've actually seen a couple of videos where I don't know, it just made me really sad. It was a young lady who committed on her birthday, and I guess she was dealing with some things. And we always read the comments like, if I would have known, if I would have known. There are always signs. There
Hmm.
are always signs.
Yeah.
There are always signs. And I don't want to jump the gun to any of your questions, but there are
Mhm.
always signs. So just being present when it comes to individuals that you care about. And even if you may not know that person personally, if you've noticed someone has disappeared or withdrawn and you're
Yeah.
used to seeing them, and it's like, okay, you can check on them. You don't have to be besties or best friends or even know each other like that. A simple, hey, I just noticed that you X, Y, and Z. I just want to make sure you're okay. That can literally help change and save someone's life.
Hmm. Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that. It's the little things,
Yeah.
Um, and I just wanted to pause for those who will view this. You will see that below I did add the 1-800 number for suicide prevention, and it has a slew of information and resources. I believe you can even send a text message. You can call. It's 24/7. If you need someone to talk to, please reach out. Okay, the next question is, from your perspective, what are some of the warning signs we should be mindful of, and how can everyday people step into that support in there to support someone who may be struggling? So I know that you were saying being present. Are there any other ways? Like, I know individuals have asked me these questions before, like, okay, should I go and try to find them a therapist? Should I go and try to, gather up these resources? So just from your perspective, I just wanted to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, I will start at the warning signs. I'm gonna start there. So some of the warning signs that someone may be attempting is, I will say, one, talking about it, even if it's in a very passive way.
Okay.
Sometimes we may hear things like, "Oh, what's they say?"
Yeah.
Someone mentions that, even if it's in a joking way. They're at some point in time that thought has came across their mind. Another sign is withdrawal. Like I said it before, if someone you haven't seen or heard from someone in a while, a lot of times say, well, they haven't reached out to me. Well, they may be going through something. Have you checked to see if they are okay? That is a huge indicator that something's going on. Not necessarily, that, but that is, it aligns, with suicide. Another warning sign would be giving away valuable possessions. A lot of times,
Mm.
tend to give away a lot of their belongings, and it may not be at one time. It may be gradually. Like they're just giving away their stuff because they want to have something to leave behind for those people that they care about, to
Mm.
to have to remember them. Um, and getting like their affairs in order, essentially. Another
Mhm.
warning sign would also be just spiraling behaviors. Some people may turn to substance abuse, or if they've already have been taking, alcohol or any other type of substance, it may like go up a level where you
Okay.
notice it gets kind of worse. Or like, okay, what's really going on? Like very reckless behavior with no care for like what happens. So those are a few of the signs. And you said, what was the second part of your question?
Just wanted to elaborate more on how can everyday people step in to support someone who may be struggling, like beyond, like you were saying, like the call or the text,
Okay.
being present, like any additional things?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times everybody's not ready for therapy, even though they may need it, and it's like you want to get them help, but they may not be ready for it. And the last thing you want to do is force someone to do anything, right?
Mhm.
So, um, it can be difficult, because everybody, they're different. Some people may be a bit more in a heightened state than others. I will say that. So really doing your best to just be present. I can't stress that enough. Whatever that looks like. If they say that they're not ready for a therapist, or you're trying to offer them a therapist, or maybe you have set the therapist up and they just didn't go. Okay, well, when you're ready, I'm here for you. You've done your part. We're not Superman. We're not super, women. We can't do everything, but we can do something. So knowing that you've done your part, checking in frequently on that person, um, even showing up to people's house, if you haven't seen them in a while and haven't heard from
Mhm.
them, a welfare check, hey, I just want
Mhm.
to make sure that you are okay. If they don't want to be bothered, everyone is different, but I can't stress enough just being present. And that looks different for everyone. People, they know their relationships, you know the person to a certain extent, and even if you don't, but just being present. So some people aren't ready for therapy.
Mhm.
The last thing you want to do is force someone to do something that they're not ready for.
Yes, that's really good. In your experience, what role does community awareness and open conversations play in reducing the stigma around suicide?
Yeah, community awareness is a huge, 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 like major. It's like so important, because what people don't know, they don't know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So even when it came to, like, my, journey with money or mental, and like that frustration of like times where I've dealt with like anxiety, that was never
Mhm.
talked about growing up.
Yeah.
So, you're feeling something and you try to mention it, oh, you're, these things, and it's stigmatized even within communities. Even nowadays, people talk about it, but there's still a stigma to it, because it's still, in a way, whether people want to acknowledge it or not, people judge. They do.
Mm.
And even if they may be dealing with it, whether they've acknowledged it or not, they may have not openly or verbally said it, but I think it takes a lot of courage to be honest and vulnerable about things that other individuals are not, because there is always somebody else that is looking to hear what you have. So community awareness, having these type of conversations, even within certain establishments. I think it's important for employers. A lot of times
Mhm.
people get burnt out on jobs. People deal with real life mental health crises at work. You have very overwhelmed, stressful jobs. Then you have to come home. You're dealing with stress. It never ends. When it comes to like churches, this again needs to be normalized. Yes, you can have your beliefs, but people are human, and we have human experiences regardless of what we believe in. So we shouldn't shy away from certain conversations, because there's always someone that's dealing with this. So um, it's really important for the community to be educated about how to help themselves and how to help others, what to look out for, and also how to just have be more empathetic to the topic mental health. I think a lot of people, maybe in the past feel like, oh, if you mention mental health, you're crazy. We all have a mind. Just like we
Yes.
have bodily health, we have mental health. So unless you don't have a mind, you know, we
Yeah. Yeah. That's
so
real.
we all have things that we have to work through and work on. So community is extremely important. And I will also add to that when it comes to suicide prevention, community is important as well. Because a lot of individuals some, they do have community, but a lot of individuals, they do not. So,
Mm. Thank you for that. All right. So the next question I have is the last SI related question. Looking forward, what systemic or cultural changes do you believe are most needed to truly shift how we prevent SI and support mental health on a large scale?
Oh, yes. Well, for one, I know that there are lots of statistics when it comes to this. I think that the proper research needs to be done for Black and Brown people. I think
Mm,
the numbers are extremely underwhelming and underrepresented, and they're higher than whatever the statistics show.
yeah.
So I think that when it comes to the system, definitely having more access to Black and Brown clinicians,
Mm,
because people typically, I don't want, it's not in all cases, but there is a difference when you sit down with a clinician who looks like you versus one that do not, because regardless of your title, there is still a similarity there. There's a
yeah.
cultural similarity. Most times there's a background similarity. I can speak to one person and they will understand versus the other. So when it comes to getting that accurate help, we need to be in these spaces.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to having doctors that will understand that, okay, certain things may not work for a certain group of individuals like they do others.
Mm-hmm.
Having great therapists, great counselors, especially when it comes to mental health, everybody doesn't deal with, the same thing. There's so many different things,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure people get access to help, knowing where to go, how to find, and because I know a lot of times the wait lists are very long, even when it comes to they're very, very long. So there's a lot of things that goes into that, but having access. Because somebody can, get like weary even with that help, trying to get help, but then they have to wait, 9 months, because it's not that many clinicians in the area. So I think that's a huge factor when it comes to breaking the breaking that.
No, those are really great points. And I'm thinking about like systemic changes. And I'm thinking on like that larger scale level, even if there would be, even more kind of there are conversations around it on like a legislation,
Mm,
level, um, where having a full mental health assessment is a part of that regular checkup, like annual
yeah,
checkup. I mean, because I know that they do like that little 1 or 2 pager asking you a
yeah,
few questions. Have you been feeling sad or, sleep and all of that, which is very mild. Now, I'm not saying that doctors need to step into like the role of a therapist or anything like that. But if there can be a two-part to the annual, or like the physical, if the person is not seeing a therapist regularly, like, hey, can there be like a 15-20 minute eval that's
mm,
done, and you have the questions, you have a mental health professional there that can do this interview or what have you, or assessment, and then if it's found that, okay, you may need some additional services, or okay, you're already working with a therapist, great.
yeah.
Like having that checkpoint there.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. So yeah, and having more Black and brown faces in those spaces.
I agree.
So I think that is just when an individual walks in and they see, they're able to, like, okay, it's like they let their guard down a bit
Mm-hmm.
because of everything that has happened when it comes to, and I'm just thinking, like, you can go into the hospital and you may not receive the same treatment because, at one point, certain we feel pain, but there's so many stigmas when it comes to medicine, so you're
Yeah.
the patient, the person is able to let their guard down and be more honest about what
Mhm.
they're experiencing.
Thank you for that.
You're
Absolutely.
welcome.
So, my last two questions are centered around yourself and minding your mental. So,
Okay.
looking ahead.
Okay.
All right. So, the first one of the two is, what are your future plans to continue moving the initiative of minding your mental forward and expanding its impact?
Okay, so yeah, I've been working on some things, it's behind the scenes. I definitely intend to be more community based. like
Mhm.
focus, there's definitely a need there, and anytime you're building something from a ground up, it can be very hard, but there is a need there. And I know that um, if there's a need for a reason. So what that looks like for minding your mental is a lot of great things coming in 2026. I know I will be relaunching my podcast soon, so just please be on the lookout for that.
Okay.
And hopefully being able to like collaborate with other individuals who's doing similar work. I know there's a lot of great individuals like yourself who's doing amazing works out here. And so yeah, so y'all stay tuned. Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, awesome. And then my next question is for those who are listening, how can they get involved? Whether through volunteering, supporting programs or initiatives that you may have under a Mind Your Mental, or simply taking steps in their own lives to prioritize mental health. What would you say to that? I know it was a
Okay.
loaded question, but
Okay, I'm gonna start with Minding Your Mental first. So if anyone wants to contact me on Facebook, I'm Kenyata Davis. You can inbox, and we can, go from there. I do have some things that I've been working on that haven't been put out yet, so that way we can just stay connected. When that moment comes. But when it comes to themselves, I would say, be honest with where you are and what you need. That's the first step. A lot of times we know what's going on before anybody else do. And sometimes other individuals can see like, okay, this person needs help, but maybe they just have not, you know, initiated that. Is to be honest, and it's okay to not be okay. Like men cry, women cry. We go through things. I'm not superwoman. I don't want to be superwoman. Like I'm laying down that cape. Like no,
mm-hmm.
I can't. I'm human. Knowing that it is okay to look for help. It is okay to ask for help. Not everyone is going to look down and stigmatize you. And if you are an individual that has dealt with, suicide ideation or any other thing, anxiety, if you're dealing with depression, you know, you're not alone. There are a lot of individuals who also have faced that same battle. A lot of individuals who have overcome exactly what you're going through. And it's not to negate what you're feeling in this moment, but just know that there is help out there. There are resources. There are some amazing Black clinicians and Black and Brown clinicians in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Um, and, just starting there, realizing that I'm not okay. I need help, and once you assess that, it's like, okay, I realize I'm not okay. How can I get okay? What can
Mm.
I do? And if you don't know, you know, again, you can always reach out. I'll try to point to a resource if I can, Um, but I think that's a great place to start.
Yes, thank you for that. And if I can just add, for those who, will listen, if you find yourself in this space, or it doesn't even have to be at the extent of SI, if you find yourself in a place of um, some type of traumatic event or just feeling away, just about life, I want you to know that, first of all, if you have not heard this in a long time or never before, you are seen and you are heard. And you have so much purpose on the inside of you, and the world is waiting to receive what you have. And so I want to encourage you and just really stepping into that place of owning what you bring to the world, because I'm waiting. I'm sure Kenyatta's waiting and definitely excited to see what comes from what you're called to do. So I just wanted to encourage those who may be listening. Again, you are seen, you are heard, and there's so much purpose on the inside of you.
Amazing words, Dr. Marrika. And can I just add something as well?
Please
Because
do.
even before this, I was listening to a song, and I first heard the song last year. And I had went to a conference, and I love this song. Like it just speaks to me. But I was listening to the song before I got on here, and in the song, she says, "I was not a mistake." And I think
Mhm.
to what you're saying, a lot of people just want to know that they are not a mistake.
Yeah.
You are not a mistake, even if you made mistakes and you feel like you're a mistake, and even if your mind is telling you that you are a mistake, you're not, and you're so wanted. You know,
Yes.
I think a lot of people don't hear that. And so, if you didn't hear it, you heard it from us today. You matter, you're wanted, you're needed, and yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. And what's do you know the artist for that
Yeah,
song?
it's Naomi Rain. So the song is called Mistakes.
Oh, I
It's
know.
called
Okay.
Mistakes. I
I know
love
exactly
the
what you're
song.
talking
Yeah.
about. Yes, it's such a pure,
Yes.
encouraging, uplifting song. So yes, thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Well, I think that that's our time, everyone. I hope that if you're able to listen, that you are encouraged, you're able to take something from it and or share it with others. Please do. This is the very first segment for the Clinicians Corner. So thank you so much, Kenyatta, for kicking it off.
Well, thank you for having me, Dr. Marrika. This was a
Yes.
pleasure. You're doing amazing. I appreciate you just for this opportunity, what you're doing, what you have done in the community, and it's just greatness. So just thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. And I receive it. All right. Well, you all can check me back here again. Please, first of all, was it subscribe?
Yes, subscribe.
Subscribe and share it with others. We have this opportunity to be able to get the word out to the masses. I have been very active on social media, but I'm like, you know what? Let me hop over into the YouTube world to be able to share the words and the encouragement that not only I have, but others that are doing the work and that have initiatives and organizations that also are doing the work as well. So catch me here. Stay tuned for the next Clinicians Corner with Dr. Marika. Thank
Yes.
you.
And subscribe up
Yes,
or below, wherever you
subscribe.
subscribe.
Yes,
All right.
subscribe.